Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel and to a brand new episode of Speaking Saturdays. Here's our newest set of questions for part 1, so let's get started. What's your favorite item of clothing? Well, I don't have a particular favorite. I do have certain styles that I enjoy, but I don't have like a fixed item that I would say, yep, this is my favorite. But I would say there's a couple dresses that I bought last year. They're all like really good. The fabric is thick and the tailoring is just exquisite. So that is something that I really enjoy wearing. It's a great fit. The color's vibrant. And so that's my favorite. I try not to wear it too often though, because I'm just like afraid I'll get like a stain on it or something. But yeah, so far at the moment, that's my favorite. But that, probably will change very soon. Are there any traditional clothes in your country? Yeah, in fact, every like single state has like its own traditional attire. So, people don't really wear those super traditional things unless it's like a festival or something of that sort. Or, if there's like a special occasion, sometimes that's also a thing, like a wedding, for example. But like, I don't know, more or less all over the country, most people tend to dress in a pretty standard fashion. The traditional clothes are usually only brought out when there's a festival. Most of the time, when there's a festival, there's very few people that actually live like that and wear that sort of clothing full time. Where do you usually purchase your clothes? So it's a mix. It's kind of split somewhat evenly between online purchases of course are a thing, but it's usually just Amazon. They have really good discounts, what can I say? And I used to love, like, we have all these stores like in my city, like where I used to live, my hometown, just amazing for shopping. Where I've moved currently isn't so great for shopping, but my hometown is just amazing. There are so many streets, so many places, so many outlets. My mom, for example, did so much shopping for me. So that's still where most of my clothes have come from, but like a good percentage, a good chunk also was purchased online, mostly through Amazon. Have you ever bought clothes online? Oh, yes, all the time. Well, not all of the time, but like, yes, of course I have. I would say that I've probably returned half the clothes that I bought online because they weren't like a good fit, or the size was wrong, or, like it was like used, torn, or something like that. But I have kept quite a lot as well. I would say that the problem with shopping online, is you don't really get to feel the fabric. You don't get to try it on. Of course, you get to try it on and return, but it's not a very nice solution because, the logistics, and it's kind of a waste as well. So, but yeah, generally, like, there's a good, like, the prices are really good. That's one thing. Like, because again, it's so much easier to shop online because you can look at 1,000 articles of clothing super simply, all from the comfort of your home. So it's kind of like, yeah, you could do a lot of window shopping online very easily and in less time. Okay, now we'll go on to part 2. Describe what you would do if you received a very large amount of money. You should say who you would share it with, what you would buy, what else you would do, and explain how you'd feel about getting so much money. Well, if that ever happened, I'd probably just, invest it. Again, it depends. There's like a lot of things you can do. I'd probably just want to buy a house because that's one thing people want to do. It's, it represents stability, security, safety, all these things. So that's always a milestone, right? And the rest, I'm very boring. I don't really like want to buy a ton of things. I just invest the rest in like a good mutual fund. I know that I sound like a 50-year-old. But hey, it's good advice. Mutual funds, and then there's gold bonds and things like that. So I think that's like, those are safe, or of course, nothing is truly safe, but these are very good and very safe investment avenues. So I would do that, put some money in the bank as well, just so that you could live off the interest. And that's that. But I'd probably, yeah, I'd share it with my mom, of course, with my family. That's it goes without saying, but yeah, I don't think that I have any grand plans. I have whatever I need, and I'm not really someone that has a lot of desires, I would say. So, yeah, I'd just be like, okay, let's buy a house and let's put the rest in like mutual funds, not stocks, because I'm not good at picking stocks. I'm horrible at it. But yeah, I definitely, put that into some sort of safe, relatively safe investment vehicle that beats inflation, because that's really important. You have to beat inflation, otherwise, you're losing money. But then there's also like, long term capital gains taxes to look at. Sometimes it's just better to put your money in a bank where you get enough, interest from like a deposit or a certificate of deposit, something like that. So that could be, yeah, this is because I have, my background is in economics. So this is like, okay, stuff that I could talk about for a while. And I know it sounds like, oh, that's no fun. Because most people would talk about, oh, I'm going to buy this car and I'm going to buy that thing. I'm going to go on this holiday. And sure, yeah, but I mean, I don't know, for some reason that just doesn't it just doesn't interest me as much anymore, I would say. But if you asked me this question when I was maybe 15 years old, I'd have different things to say. But now I have different things entirely to say. Okay, then we'll go on to part 3. Is money important to you? Yes, of course it is. I mean, you can't live without money. So, I mean, a lot of people would say, oh, you don't need money, but that's like a good sign that the person is really young and they haven't lived life. So, yeah, it's important, because how else are you going to pay for the things that you need? For practically every single thing every day, you need money. You need money to feed yourself, to clothe yourself, for your kids if you have any, for your parents if you support them, just for life, just to exist, you need money. So it goes without saying that money is not just important to me. I think it's important for everyone. Some people may not admit it for whatever reason. Some people are like worried, like, oh, that sounds superficial, but it's not superficial. It's in fact very deep, because how would you survive if you didn't have money? And beyond just survival, you have goals, hopes, and dreams, and money allows you to realize those hopes and dreams. What's the relationship between money and power? Of course, the more money you have, the more power you have in society to influence your own life. See, usually when you don't have money, other people influence your life. Like used to be that a lot of women used to be homemakers, and they had like either very little education, or they just weren't allowed to have jobs, and so of course they didn't have any money of their own. And then like for every single thing that you want to buy or have, you have to ask someone. And a lot of women have lived through very abusive relationships, because they have no power, they have no money, they cannot decide anything for themselves, they cannot leave either, because where are you going to go to? You have no money, you're going to be homeless. So you need power over your own life. I'm not talking about power in society, but that is true. That is also true, of course, the more money you have. Like when you talk about millionaires and billionaires, like we all saw that, people who have money can invest and can donate. Well, not really invest. Well, actually, it is kind of an investment if you really think about it. But they, donate to these political campaigns, and they can influence elections, and they can get things done so their companies get to benefit. So that's, of course, a very complicated thing. But power is not just like when we say, oh, that person is powerful in society. But I think money is also important just to have power over your own life, to make your own decisions, to be able to buy whatever you need without having to ask anyone, whether that's your parents, your spouse, etc. Do you think it's important to teach children money skills? Absolutely. I think it's a good idea to start that as young as you can. Of course, really young children will not understand, but whenever, there's an appropriate age, that depends on the child as well sometimes. Some children can handle money at a younger age, but you have to let them make mistakes as well. A lot of parents will panic when the child makes a mistake or buys something silly, but they have to learn through their mistakes. That's the only, the lessons that you learn through mistakes are the only lessons that really stick. And that's something a lot of people don't realize. So, yes, you teach them these skills, but you also give them freedom to make mistakes and not be ridiculed for that. Because a lot of people grow up to be adults and they have no clue how to manage their money. They're always complaining that they have a full-time job, but they have nothing left at the end of the month. And to me, that just seems ridiculous. But when you haven't been taught how to manage money, how to live within your means, and basic things like that, even taxes, you can't really blame them either because someone failed to teach them. Of course, I mean, at some point you have to start taking responsibility for your life. But yes, they were failed at some point. So yes, we should in fact teach them as young as realistically possible. Should we let children buy whatever they want with the money that they've saved? With some exceptions, with very few exceptions, I would say yes, let them do things. When I was 12 or 13, I had a lot of my pocket money saved and I went and bought a video game. I didn't even check if it was compatible with my computer, and it was not. And I learned a very important lesson. And I was very upset that I wasted money. But that was an important lesson to learn, right? So yes, we should. It's not a lot of people will panic, but that just makes things worse. Let them make mistakes. It's just money. You can always earn money back, but the lessons that you learn, that's like something that stays with you for a lifetime. So of course, there have to be certain limits to what they can buy. Nothing illegal, nothing inappropriate for their age, and so on. But other than that, why not? They've saved the money. They get to decide how to spend it, because that's exactly what happens when you're an adult. And the whole point of teaching children skills and the whole point of parenting is to prepare that child to be a responsible adult like a couple years down the line. So yeah, I think so. Yep, I think that's a good idea. Alright, that was our test for today. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to leave a thumbs up. And also, we have tons of videos for writing and speaking, so don't forget to check them out. And I'll see you in the next video. Until then, bye-bye.